All right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking our very first step into the world of writing code. We're going to be looking at C# and .NET. These are the powerful tools behind so many of the apps, websites, and games you use every single day. Have you ever been playing a game or using an app and just thought to yourself, how did they make this? What's the magic going on behind the screen? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a huge piece of that magic. And a lot of that magic comes from a programming language called C#. Seriously, the possibilities are just massive. We're talking desktop apps, web apps, mobile apps that run on any device, even incredible 3D games using the Unity engine. And it doesn't stop there. It's the backbone for cloud services, AI, and the whole Internet of Things. So what exactly is C# anyway? Well, it's pronounced C#, and it's a modern, super powerful language that came from Microsoft. It's what we call object-oriented, which is just a fancy way of saying it helps developers keep their code nice and organized. The whole point was to mix the raw power of older languages with a much simpler, safer, modern design, which makes it pretty much perfect for building, well, almost anything. And here's a fun little fact for you. The name isn't just some random symbol. It's actually inspired by the musical note C#, which is just a little bit higher than a C. Get it? It was meant to be a step up from the older C family of languages. Pretty clever, right? But here's the thing. C# is only half the story. It works with an essential partner called .NET. Think of it like this. C# is the language you use to write the super detailed blueprint for your house. It describes every room, every window, every single detail. But .NET? That's the construction crew, the power tools and the foundation that actually takes your blueprint and builds the house, and makes sure it stands strong. In that construction crew, .NET does a ton of the heavy lifting for you. It handles your computer's memory automatically, which saves you from all sorts of headaches and bugs. It adds layers of security, and, this is huge, it lets the exact same C# code run on Windows, macOS, and Linux without you having to change a thing. Plus, it gives you this enormous library of pre-built tools, so you're not constantly starting from scratch. Okay, so you've got this text file with a bunch of code in it. But how in the world does that become a real working program on your screen? Let's take a quick look at that journey. It happens in a few key steps. First, of course, you write your C# code. Then, a special program called a compiler translates it into something called intermediate language, or IL. Now, this IL code is generic. It's not for Windows or Mac. It's just in between. Then, when you actually go to run your program, the .NET runtime uses another compiler, a just-in-time one, that translates that IL code into the native code for whatever machine you're on, right at that moment. And that two-step process is the secret sauce that makes your program both super fast and able to run just about anywhere. Theory is great and all, but let's actually see this stuff in action. It's time. It's a rite of passage for every single developer. We are going to write the legendary Hello World program. Okay, here it is. And I know that might look a little intimidating. You've got brackets and semicolons and all these weird words, but don't worry about all that. Let's just focus on the two lines that are doing all the real work. Let's zoom in on this first piece right here, static void main. The absolute best way to think of this is as the front door to your program. It's the starting line. When you tell the computer to run, this is the exact spot it looks for to begin. And this is the command that actually does something. This is the action. Console.writeLine hello world is a direct instruction. It tells the computer, hey, take the text you see inside these quotes and print it out on the screen for me. That's literally all it's doing. And voila, this is the result. Hello world. You just wrote a complete program that actually does something. I know it seems small, but this is a huge first step. It's the foundation for everything, and I mean everything that comes next. So we've made our program talk. That's awesome. But how do we make it listen? How do we make it remember things? For that, we need to understand one of the most fundamental ideas in all of programming, variables. So what on earth is a variable? Honestly, the easiest way to think of it is just like a labeled box. That's it. It's a container in your computer's memory that you give a name to, and then you can store a piece of information inside that box to use later. And just like in the real world, you have different kinds of boxes for different kinds of stuff, right? It's the same in code. A variable type called an int is a box for whole numbers. A double is for numbers with decimal points. A bool is a tiny box that can only hold true or false. And a string, well, that's your box for holding text. Okay, this is where things get really cool. This is where our program stops just talking at the world and starts listening to it. We can use this command, console.readline. It basically pauses the program, waits for you to type something and hit enter, and then we can take whatever you typed and store it in one of those string variable boxes. All right, you ready? We have all the pieces now. We know how to print things to the screen, and we know how to read things from the user and remember them. Let's put it all together and build something fun, a super simple interactive chatbot. Here's the entire code for our little chatbot. And you should recognize the key parts, right? We've got write line to ask a question, and we've got read line to listen for the answer. Let's just walk through exactly how it works. So first, the program asks, what's your name? Then, this line right here, this is the listener. It waits for you to type your name, and as soon as you hit enter, it grabs that text and stores it inside our variable box called name. The program now officially remembers your name. And then comes the magic. On the very next line, the program says, nice to meet you, and then it opens up that name box, grabs the name it stored a second ago, and plugs it right into the sentence. This is how we create responses that feel personal and dynamic. And check it out, here's the final result. The program asks for a name, the user types in Alice, and the program uses that stored data to create a custom greeting. We've just built a real interactive experience from scratch. So let's just quickly recap the big ideas. C# is this incredibly versatile language you can use to build just about anything. .net is the powerhouse platform that makes it all run. We learned that variables are basically just labeled boxes for storing data. And most importantly, you now know how to interact with the user and use those building blocks to make a simple chatbot. I want to leave you with this thought. C# is like a Swiss Army knife for developers. Compact, elegant, and capable of anything if you know how to unfold its tools. You've just unfolded that very first tool. You took the biggest, most important step. So the only question left is, what are you going to build next?